So explain what you're doing.
Trying to get this top off with the wall. Ow, son of a biscuit eater. Found a screw. Anyway, this is collapsed so much that we can't get the top off.
And why are you doing it?
Because, well, one, we got to replace the refrigerator, and you can't find one of these refrigerators anymore. So we're going to put in just a regular refrigerator that just plugs in. But there's been some damage in here already, so we're having to get rid of the damage, which means I guess we're going to be replacing these whole sidewalls. And trying to get things off it up for some reason.
Because I want to save that countertop. It's cool.
Why is that wire running through there? What is that wire? Oh, that's the thermostat.
What is that?
Thermostat wire for the furnace. The furnace is right below the refrigerator. Here, the different wiring. And the cool part is I don't know who I'm telling this to.
To the video, because you're going to help people when they're replacing their refrigerator.
The nice part is when we bought the RV, the refrigerator, or the extra chair, was missing on that corner. We started to see, because there's stuff piled up there right now, but by doing this and building the new refrigerator and stuff in, we plan on mounting the TV over here anyway, and it's going to give us a chance to make sure the wall's solid and that all the wiring is running. Now we'll be able to put all the wiring in, so it'll all be right behind the TV. We won't have to worry about any cords hanging down or getting tangled, because, well, for such a little motor home, while it is still very spacious, it's amazing how quick you can get tangled up and twisted in something. So it's kind of nice to be able to just have the TV up, and we'll be able to kind of design a place for the Blu-ray player and just kind of have everything put in together.
Can you show what you, what wires or anything you unhooked when you first did this, before we decided to make a video of it?
Well, I didn't stick too much. So there was the coax cable, which I haven't found an outlet outside to hook it up, but apparently there's something somewhere. Although it said TV 2, so I don't even know where there's another TV hookup. This is too small to have two, so I'm thinking it was a universal box. But we will find it, because it'd be handy to have hooked up, because you never know where you might be parking that you might need to hook Wi-Fi up or any of that stuff. And then of course there was the 110 box up here, just a regular plug-in, which we'll switch out and get rid of this cheapy one and put in a better one wherever we decide to put the plug-in. Again, maybe this one might get moved over here, chances are, for the TV, and then we can always Nice part is, again, switch it to one that has the USB ports and stuff in it too, so that everything's hooked up. These were 12 volt power, because these are the this was built late enough that this still had the plug-in for the 12 volt TV and little amplifier and everything to help pull in signal through the antenna. And then the other one that I had to disconnect, I think already kind of fell down behind. Oh no, it's right here. Is the thermostat wire. And so you can't really tell it because I just clipped it off at the edge, but it's just the 2 wires that go from the thermostat down to the furnace, which is under the refrigerator.
And you made sure what was unplugged and stuff before you started clipping wires?
Nothing.
It's nothing?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about electricity or anything like that?
No, that's why it's always very handy to hold your wife's hand while you're cutting wires. That way it just flows right through. No, fortunately, I haven't had to cut any 110, 112, as anybody who has done car stereos, anything like that knows 12 volt isn't enough to even tickle you.
But as you see, it looks kind of like he did, because it kind of looks like a Q-tip.
Yes.
Your hairs are sticking straight up.
So, yeah.
All right, so pause for now.
Yeah.
Say what you're doing.
Coming up.
So you're taking the caps off.
So you gotta pull all these caps off all the way around the refrigerator, wherever they are. Needless to say, that's where the screws are hidden to unscrew. And then before I did anything, now this is a important part, is one, fortunately we were out of propane, so we didn't fill it yet, but I still went and made sure that the tank was turned off. And because you need to, on the back side of the refrigerator outside, you need to make sure, like this one had 12 volt hookup, gas hookup, and electric hookup.
Why don't we just go out there and show them?
Well, you can go out and kind of just show it or I can show after.
Okay.
But anyway, you just want to make sure that the propane's unhooked, but you want to make sure you're not leaking any propane out. You want to make sure that the 12 volt is unhooked, and make sure the 110. And we will, before we slide this out, we'll go out and show you which hookups those are. Just to kind of, make sure that everything's safe and you don't blow up the RV or yourself or anybody else while you're trying to get it out. We will continue. I'm going to just pull some screws and stuff, and then we'll come back.
Would it be good is, because they have those videos, and I haven't done it on any of my past videos, but you do this whole thing, we watch you pop them all off, and then you just do it. You hit a fast forward. Actually, I have done it in one video. Just that section, it's like you doing it like mega time.
Yeah, I've seen them do that.
That way it's not boring.
But they would know that a fat man doesn't move that fast.
We talk nice about ourselves, and
you're not supposed to be anyway.
I am.
Why?
Because you were just telling them about the hot water heater, not the power outside propane. There we go.
Taking the octopus off. With a bullet hole in the head.
It's really not very
Somebody put an extra hole in it. Normally they just have the 2 eyes and the little tentacles, and this one has a hole in its head. Somebody didn't like octopuses.
There you go.
So, as we were talking about just taking this hook off, basic hook, pretty simple to take on and off. But the other nice part is that one thing to keep in mind as you're doing this kind of stuff is thinking ahead and going, hey, I like that hook there, or maybe I want it over 6 inches. But remembering that so that when you rebuild this wall, you can make sure that you have backing behind it. Because the whole reason they put that extra hole in there is they put an anchor in here. And so by thinking ahead, you can go, oh, that's right, I want the hook here. Let's make sure we put a good wood backing behind it so we can just run screws in and not have to use hangers and then you know right where you want it. So anyway, wanted to throw that in before. I don't think I can really take this. Yeah. screw in the top. Maybe I didn't even screw it in. So probably have to.
Take out the stuff. It's gonna be heavy.
Yeah.
You're just gonna take the door off right now?
Part before I pull them out because it's a lot easier to grab the refrigerator without the door in the way.
Yeah, it's just all the stuff's in the door, so be careful.
That's how simple that is.
Mm-hmm. This is how to switch out and fix the refrigerator, repair the walls, and put a new one in when you're living in the motorhome. We're planning on it. We're storing stuff in it, right? Whoa.
This refrigerator's never worked since we bought the motorhome. So it's always just been extra storage. But now that we're actually living in it, we need a refrigerator. And it's funny how that changes things really fast. But the nice part is most of the places that we go, well, we have a 5,000 watt power inverter. Eventually, it'd be nice to put solar panels on top that will run the power inverter. So that's why we're like, we really don't need a propane for the fridge because we will run it off the power inverter or a small generator, you know, whatever, wherever we happen to be. But most places we have hookup. You know, a lot of places you go these days, it's hard to find a spot that doesn't have hookups and stuff.
And if we're traveling too far, we'll just put ice in a chest and...
Well, and again, no, the power inverter, with the power inverter, it'll run as we're
running.
going down the road, so it'll keep it cold. So that's the nice part about, you know, you can go down now, and I'm not going to quote you a price because I can't remember exactly, but they're very reasonable to go down and get a 5,000 watt power inverter from Harbor Freight. And I've known several people that have bought them that they've worked great and they haven't had any problems with. And this one, fortunately, when we bought it, I already had one hooked up. And it does make it so nice. And this one was nice enough. It even has a button up here you can just push. As you're going down the road, it'll flip everything on, which, you know, it'll run the TV, the refrigerator, the DVD player, everything while you're driving down the road. So, you know, especially handy if you got, you know, family joining you or, you know, kids or whatever, because you can keep them occupied going down the road by just putting on a movie for them or something. So, anyway, there is a big plus to it. And it also, now, they don't sell this refrigerator anymore, so we couldn't get this one, and I couldn't find parts for it. So, by buying the one that we got, we're going to have a separate freezer. It's going to have a lot more room and just be a lot more convenient for what we're looking for.
And I'm going to take stuff out of the fridge so it doesn't get broken.
I think everybody would do that.
No.
All right. fridge is coming out. Somehow. So basically, what I'm doing, just because there's not a lot of room in here, got to take all this down anyway, because I'm just going to pop these top boards off, just so there's a little, so it's a little easier to maneuver and get it out, without having to fight so much.
I didn't know if you were popping the sideboard off too.
No, yeah, just the top board, so and rock a little more. Uh-oh.
What was that?
Yeah, good thing to kind of look behind, make sure nothing's tangled. Nothing's still hooked up. It looks like everything is free.
I thought you said you were going to go show them how to turn off the propane before
Oh
you
yeah,
did.
yeah, I've done that. Very good point. Glad my wife remembered that. Because that is actually a important step.
Okay.
So you see, this is you just got a standard plug-in for the 110, and usually there's a plug-in somewhere, and for some reason generally they are right over here. This is why I didn't have to disconnect the 110, because it just plugs in. So this is still hot, but it's just plug-in, so you don't have to worry about it. This is where the propane hooks up, and under this cover is just where the wires go in, and you can follow the wires. These are them, so you'll see generally it's going to be the two white ones are going to go into one little holder here,
Slow down and stuff.
and this black one, which you'll have to really pay attention, because like this one, you can see this is actually a white wire, but they've used it as a hot wire, so they painted it black. But you want to be careful, because you can see how easy that stuff comes off. So you always want to just check and make sure when if you were to be replacing this with another one like it, and you were having to hook all this back up, that's something you would want to really make sure that you keep the hots together and the neutrals together. And like I said, they just unscrew with a little tiny Phillips screwdriver right inside here and pop out. Then the propane, this is what we were talking about. It's so important to make sure your propane is off. And then generally, the good thing to do, we were out, so we didn't have to do this, would be to go in, turn on the stove, light it, and that way you burn off whatever propane's in the lines. And that way when you come out here, I believe I was using a 13/16 and a 19. Yeah, so either one of those, but I found using both, because they'll both fit. One will fit on this side and then one on the actual nut, and then you can just disconnect it.
And is it universally that for all motorhomes, or is
Yes.
it going to change?
Nope. It's going to be the same kind of system. It may hook up somewhere a little different, but it's usually always right here at the bottom. They're in here, so they're a service port. You're able to pop this open,
And same
service,
size of
check
wrench.
for leaks. And pretty much, yeah, it should be, I've never seen a different one. This is the same as what was in my Chevy motorhome. Same thing that was in the Bounder motorhome, so it should be the same all the way around.
I think what we'll do is on a later video, we'll show how to burn off the remaining propane by lighting the stove, and just do a short video clip just so people can see.
Just for the safety. Maybe when we have the stove cleared off.
Is that good?
Yep. I'm taking it out. Maybe.
Don't blow a gasket.
So that's just stapled in. That may have just made my day too.
What is?
It says fiberglass. I thought it was just fiberglassed in to everything, but it looks like it is just a pan. And my worry was I may be a little too tall on the new fridge, and so I thought I was going to have to somehow customize up here.
And we said, and his wife said no. We weren't cutting that.
So anyway, so now I don't have to worry about that because I can go down, and I know there's the furnace is underneath there, but there's plenty of space between it. I just didn't know if I'd be able to get this fiberglass out of the way to do it. So and the other nice part is because of going with just a household fridge, so this vent up here and that vent down there no longer mean anything to us. We don't need them. So we'll keep them on there just because it's easier than trying to patch the siding, of course. But now what we're going to do is we're going to get some Thermax insulation, which is that insulation board, and we'll cut it to fill that space. And
we'll show a video in a later one of what we do.
And that's going to seal it from air, but it's also going to help keep bugs out. Bees like to get up in those and build nests. It's going to make it impossible for them to do that. But mostly it's just going to help keep it warmer in here in the winter. And the same thing with the bottom one. The bottom one will probably, this one doesn't come open. You have to unscrew the whole thing. But the bottom one does open. So that one will probably just glue the Thermax. And we will show this. But glue the Thermax to it so that we can open it if should there ever be a reason to open it. Or if the refrigerator stays out a little bit, there could be storage back there because there's nothing on the back of the household refrigerator that you can't put anything against. So it could be a great place to keep flares or keep stuff that we may need in a hurry, and it still leaves an opening to get there. So, okay, cut. Do is keep these on here.
Talk louder.
Keep these on. My goal is to try and keep these corner pieces. These are oak, and if I can get the paneling off of them, then when I build the new walls, I can just add the paneling and keep these uprights. Because my goal is to try not to use much or do much on the very bottom. Worst case scenarios, I might have to cut these off at a certain point and then move them over. Because if the refrigerator is not as wide, I'd like to move this back too to open up more space. So even if it was just a couple inches, it would really make it a lot more space coming in. And since the new refrigerator will be able to go right up against this wall, unlike this one, it's really going to create some more openness and space. So, RVs, just like manufactured homes, they like to put everything in and then close in the walls and the doors and the holes. So this refrigerator will not fit out the door or the windows. So we're going to take it apart a little more and a little more until we get it broke down enough that we can fit it out one or the other. This is the fun part of doing this stuff, is trying to figure out how to get things to work the way you want them to. anyway, that's that. And we'll be back with you. We'll let you know just how much we had to do or what we had to do to get it all apart and get it out. RVs, just like manufactured homes, they like to put everything in and then close in the walls and the doors and the holes. So this refrigerator will not fit out the door or the windows. So we're going to take it apart a little more and a little more until we get it broke down enough that we can fit it out one or the other. So this is the fun part of doing this stuff, is trying to figure out how to get things to work the way you want them to. So anyway, that's that, and we'll be back with you. We'll let you know just how much we had to do or what we had to do to get it all apart and get it out.